Hey guys, welcome to the Fighters Replay. I'm one of your hosts, Rob,
I'm Declan.
and today we got a special guest, UFC fighter, 100% finish rate in all of his wins, all by knockout. We have Trevor Peek. Trevor, how you doing today?
Man, I am doing great. I'm already back to work. I mean, I've trained 3 times a day, so I mean, I'm just fixing the holes, and I'm doing great though, man. How are you guys doing?
Doing great, man. We're doing
Doing
great.
great.
Good deal.
So the first question we want to start off with is, what got you into MMA?
Really, man, I was a wild kid. Really, I had an old friend of mine, and him and another couple of my buddies, they was into it, and they fought and trained and stuff. And actually, there was a MMA fight. It was an unsanctioned event, but it was close to my hometown. And my buddy during that time, he called me and was like, "Hey man, you want to go fight?" And I thought we was going to a parking lot to fight. And like he said something, I can't remember what it was he said, but whatever it was, I realized that he wasn't talking about a parking lot. And I was like, "Wait, what kind of fight are you talking about, man?" And he said like the UFC does. And I was like, "In front of people?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I went and got a piece of paper signed. I was 15 years old and went up there, and I beat the kid up real bad. He quit on the stool before the third round. So that was my first, experience in the cage. And that same friend, like we just went around fighting everybody. And, he told me I was 14-year old during that time, 14 or 15. And he told me, he was like, "Man, like if you ever wanted to make a lot of money in fighting, you could." And he kind of, planted a small seed in my head. And then, I went down a very dark road, being wild, partying, just fighting all the time, man. My Lord, I fought so much. And then, I finally got, a relationship with Jesus Christ and started trying to pursue him. And I knew, like, I kind of figured eventually I'd want to pursue fighting. So once I started getting my life in order, and chasing God, I really wanted to, try to do something with myself. I didn't really want to work just a 9 to 5. I wanted to try to live a meaningful life. And I knew that, if I could get in that cage, it would give me a good platform to, tell people about, what God's brought me through. So, ever since I've, started chasing God, it's, my MMA journey's been, pretty prosperous, and I've, developed a lot of beautiful relationships, and it's been super blessed, man.
That's amazing, man. That's so
Amazing.
amazing. It's always good to see people regain a strong control in their faith and be able to strive towards greatness like that. So that's really good on you, man. That's
Oh yeah,
wonderful.
man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, figuring out who God was and trying to build a relationship with Jesus is, by far the best decision I ever made. Now, I haven't been perfect by all means. There's been times in my life, I've chased after other worldly things, and it seems like every time I've ever
Yeah,
done that, life's kind of falling apart. But as long as I keep my eyes on God and focus on Him and try to keep my relationship pure, it seems like everything kind of works a lot better for me.
Mhm. That's amazing, man.
So,
All right, man. That brings us to our next question. So, like, we know you do a lot of training, but we wanted to know what is the main key to success outside the gym?
trying to, just trying to live a disciplined lifestyle, whether it
Yeah.
be with like food or relationships, whatever the case may be, man. Trying to keep this thing up here healthy, man. It's
Yeah.
that brain, it can only take so much. So, trying to keep good people around you, good relationships, be positive, it just little things like that, man. They really trickle off into your training. If you got bad stuff going on in life, relationship problems, whatever the case may be, stressful stuff, it really trickles into your training. So, trying to just keep a good lifestyle outside off the mats is, I mean, it's very critical. And just like I said, living a disciplined life, and MMA has taught me discipline. I didn't really have a sense of discipline before I started all this. I mean, maybe a mild case of it whenever I was in high school playing football. But even then, man, I just wasn't a very good athlete. But MMA has most definitely taught me a lot about discipline. And I feel like, whenever you're off the mats, just trying to live a good life and keep everything positive, it makes your time on the mat so much more productive and fun, man. It's
That's amazing. Got to stay disciplined in MMA, man. I imagine.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, man. You got to,
Got
you
it.
got to.
So another question we want to ask you is, So, with the decision to becoming a professional fighter, how has your family reacted and adjusted to this career decision you've made?
Oh man, my family's so supportive. I mean, all my family on my mom's side, my dad's side, like they're all super big fans. I mean, they super big fans. I wouldn't be anything without my family, and the lifestyle I did live and the road I was going down, man, they would much rather me fight because I mean, the way I was heading, man, I most definitely was heading towards prison or death. I mean, I had a 5 year prison sentence over my head, whenever I started this MMA journey. And, I've worked through all that, got past all my probation and everything and all that. So my family's been super supportive.
That's amazing, man. Along with that, you're very early into your mixed martial arts career. Do you have this early on? Do you have a goal on how you want to be remembered in MMA?
Yeah, I want to be remembered for, putting on good performances and stuff like that. But man, I'd like to be remembered for the stuff I did outside the cage. The going and trying to be a light to the world and being a positive influence to the younger generation or people struggling, stuff like that. Like the cage stuff is cool, man. Don't get me wrong. Like I do want people to remember me, and I feel like I am a very memorable fighter. Like you can
Oh
watch 20
yeah.
fights, but you know what I mean. You're going to remember my
Yeah.
fight, So I mean, I do things in there that people's definitely going to remember me for. But I just want people to always know that I give it my all, and I'd go out on my shield if it need be. But I want to be remembered for the things that I did outside the cage too.
You want to be remembered for the stuff you do outside of the cage. Along with that being said, do you feel like as if you're gonna potentially go into a coaching position in the future when your martial arts career is done, or sort of type of position where you influence the younger generations to tell them your story?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I figure one of these days, man, I love the fight game. I really love working with kids and stuff like that. So I figured eventually I'll probably become a coach and stuff like that. But as far as like, pouring into the youth and things of that nature, I try to do that, now and everything. So I'm just trying to, it does help to perform good in the cage, man, and build that resume and look good and stuff that way. You kind of catch the eye of the younger generation and stuff like that. You do good in there, then it kind of inspires them. So and just want to
Mhm.
keep everything rolling, keep the kids inspired and stuff. It'd be all really great.
Dude, definitely a memorable fighter, man. Because like UFC debut, it's like, oh, when's this guy fighting next? When's Trevor Peek fighting next,
Oh
man?
yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I'm definitely excited, man. I know how to put on performance, I guess. It's just I got some things we're gonna fix and everything.
Mhm.
Try to calm down a little bit, man. I got a
Yeah, man.
tendency of getting in there and being a little bit wild, but it's just up until this point, man, I've other than my contender series fight, I mean, I've pretty well walked through everybody I've
Oh
fought,
yeah.
so
Oh
everybody's,
yeah.
criticized my technique and all this and saying I ain't UFC caliber. But I mean, like, up until like this point, man, I mean, and like I said, the contender series fight, that first round was brutal. But I mean, up until that, like, I mean, pretty well, I've walked through everybody. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, as far as like, I've known there would come a time that I'd have to change and everything, but we've been just having fun with it, man, and being a little bit wild, like I said. But we're gonna fix some things, man.
For sure.
Coming up with
So,
your sorry, Declan, you go.
all right, yeah. So with that being said, like, how did it feel to get that last second KO in your UFC debut?
Oh, wild man! That
Man, that
was
was awesome.
yeah, that was cool. I smelled blood and went for the kill. I knew he was. I knew he was out, but the referee, where the I was in between the referee and him, so he couldn't really say that he was out. So I just
Yeah.
had to put them last few finishing touches on there. But that was wild, man. I definitely knew it was close. I heard that 10-second clapper, and I was like, man, you better go to town.
Literally 1 second left. It was literally like one second, man.
I know it, man. I honestly, if
Crazy.
the bell would have saved him, I don't know if he'd have come off the stool for that second one, man.
I don't
That
think
was
so.
Oh no,
yeah,
definitely not.
it's
Absolutely
pretty
not.
discombobulated for sure.
Oh yeah. You have a really exciting style when you fight. Do you feel that there are any fighters that you currently watch in the UFC that maybe influence your style a little bit?
I mean, I feel like mine and Justin Gaethje's styles are very similar, man. We're both like car crashes, and oddly enough, I had no idea, but my former opponent that I just fought, Chepe, he'd been training with Justin Gaethje for,
Oh,
I mean, they're training partners, but he said in the interview, he said he'd just come off the mat sparring Justin Gaethje whenever he got the phone call from the UFC, and I found all that out after the fight, and I was like,
Yeah.
dang, man, like if I was a coach and I had a fighter and like I was gonna be, and my fighter was gonna be fighting somebody like me, if I could bring anybody in to kind of simulate that violence, aggression, and just wildness and chaos, I would try to get Justin Gaethje there. But so it all it's all gonna work out, man. I'm just excited about everything. But yeah, I feel like mine and Justin Gaethje's styles are very similar. It seems like he has trouble bridling it back at times, taking a little bit of the aggression out. And, I feel like I struggle with that a little bit myself. A lot of fighters, they have a problem turning the switch on, the aggression, the violence, the pressure, they have trouble flipping that switch. And I most definitely don't have a problem with that. My biggest issue has been like trying to calm down and just bridle back a little bit and take a little bit of that aggression and that chaos out of it. But we'll get it fixed. I'd much rather have that problem as the other one. I'd rather be in there and be too wild, too crazy, as get in there and be like a deer in headlights. So we'll get it fixed though.
Yeah. Would you say that Justin Gaethje is your dream fight?
Yeah, probably, man. I would like, I know I got some things to fix and everything, but eventually I'd like to get one in with him before he rolled out of the UFC. I just, man, I'd love to fight him. Him and like or Dustin Poirier, man. I like Dustin Poirier a lot. I think that one would be a banger.
Oh
ooh,
yeah.
that would be an exciting fight, man. I'd be there, man. I'd be there for that one.
Yes, sir.
All right. So the next question we got for you, dude, you have an amazing story coming up into mixed martial arts. So the question we have for you is like, how did you find your coaches, and how important is that relationship with your team?
Oh, well, I actually found, my first striking coach. I ended up Jeff Powell. I've been with him since 2018. I was going and I went and done a fight without a coach. Me and a couple buddies had met up, and that same friend I told you about, me and him kind of met up at a karate dojo and really was going up there and beating the crap out of each other. And I started driving down to Kimball, Tennessee, and training with John Haskew. And one of the Mondays I was down there, they paired me up with Jeff Powell, and he was actually my partner that day. And they told me that he was going to start doing striking classes, and I started going to a couple of them. And then eventually I talked him into coming back to Henniger, Alabama, and training me and a few of my other buddies. And since I met Jeff, I mean, up until the other day, I hadn't lost. I'd went on like a 12 fight win streak, I believe. And then I went through some troubles. Jeff had tried to open up his gym. COVID had hit. Find like it's just a mess with like COVID and everything. So he closed the gym down, and my past had kind of caught up with me, man. I got confined to the state of Alabama, and there wasn't any gyms really right there in the area. And the only other gym I might would have trained at, there was another guy there that I thought I might potentially fight again. I had fought him one time, and I thought we might rematch, so I wasn't going there. So I was stuck in my grandfather's shed training for the first year of my pro career. Well, my cousin Miles was coming up here to Gogi Combatives, and like he kept telling me, like for that whole year, he was like, "Man, you got to come up here. Like you got to come up here." And I had a couple other buddies up here that was training, and as soon as I got that stuff off of me and I could leave the state lines, I started coming up here, man, and I've fallen in love with everybody. I mean, all my coaches up here, I mean, they're some of my absolute best friends. I mean, Matt Harris, Sterling Peace, Larry Scott, Mike Griffin. I mean, dude, I am just surrounded with absolutely wonderful people. I mean, I can't say enough about my coaches, man. And honestly, that's the part that's bothered me more than anything with this most recent loss, and is people kind of talking negatively about like my team, or saying things like I need new coaches and stuff like that. Like it just hurts my feelings for them, man, because I haven't even as violent and stuff as I've been, and the performances, the 100% finish rate, like haven't showed anything like as far as like the knowledge I actually know, man. Like I get in there and I'm wild and kind of throw technique out the door. But I mean, I've got really good technique. I've had, trouble implementing the game, but I do believe with the team I've got around me, and especially the extra time we're putting in, man, I do believe that I can accomplish anything I want to. I mean, it ain't my performance in there the other night. That loss is 100 million% on my shoulders. I don't blame anybody else in the world. I don't blame anything else. I blame myself, for being too aggressive, loading up, staying tense the whole time, looking for the kill shot, choreographing every shot. I mean, there's so much I did wrong. And honestly, man, I mean, I can take all my wins combined, and I haven't learned as much in all them wins combined as what I just learned in this last fight. And it's kind of like I said, man, I've walked through most people. So, like, how much are you really going to learn walking through everybody? You know what I mean? Like, there's just so much stuff that from this last fight, like, that I got to learn and that I'm thankful for. I mean, I really am. There's so much that I'm thankful for that I think will ultimately, get me to where I want to be in life and in my fighting career and everything. I mean, it's just, I mean, the loss, it's tough. It sucks. Didn't get my win, didn't get my win money, didn't get the bonus. So that kind of hurts, but ultimately, if the lessons that I learned, if I can apply them to my fighting career, then they'll pay off, 10 times more than what that win and that bonus would have, I feel like. So I'm looking at it as a blessing instead of, trying to, I ain't going to be the guy that beats myself up about it. I kind of was upset for a day or two naturally, but I've really just sucked it up and gone, man. That's all you can do. You can't dwell in the past too much, man. It really takes away from today if you do. So we're just going to get back to the drawing board and fix some things. And like I said, man, we're already pretty hard at it. I mean, I'm training 3 or 4 times a day right now. So it's looking good.
That's awesome, man. That's really good to hear. So,
Yeah.
one more question that I have to ask, and I'm asking this more solely just for my own curiosity. When did the Steve from Minecraft comparison start? Where did that come from?
Oh, Eric Gonzalez, man, I will give him that, man. I may have won the fight, but he definitely is. He's given me a nickname, I reckon. I think it's where he came from, anyways. I seen like he had tweeted, he was like, "This guy looks like Steve from Minecraft," and then it kind of just slowly took off. But man, I'm fine with it. It was kind of blowing up like that. Everybody was, especially after Full Send, they did a little interview with me and kind of tagged me, and they was asking me about the Steve and everything. And we was laying up in the hotel room the night before I started cutting weight, and I was sitting there and I was watching TV and everything, and I rolled over. I raised up and I looked at my coach Sterling was over on he was over sitting on the couch, and I raised up and I was like, dude, what if it's supposed to be Steve? He was like, we was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I don't know, man. I was just sitting here and I was like, got to thinking about like all the kids all over the country wearing like wearing like a teal shirt with a Minecraft thing coming to the fights. Like, I don't know, man.
Oh my
Like, I don't really want it to be Steve, but like if it inspired kids, man, I probably really would run with it, but I don't know. I ain't crazy about it for real.
I get you.
God.
Another question I need to ask is so I guarantee that almost every fan wants to have this experience. What did it feel like to hear Bruce Buffer scream your name, man?
Oh man, it's surreal, man. It's a really a hard feeling to describe. It's almost like a dream, man, or you're in a movie or something like that. It really hit me big time, like whenever I fought Eric Gonzalez, because like it was just a total surprise to me that Bruce Buffer was even there. It being a fight night and it was a lower end card altogether. It wasn't a stacked card by all means. So I thought Martinez or whatever the announcer's name is, I thought he would be there that night. So had no idea until he's actually going with it, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Bruce Buffer, man. And then like this last experience, man, like this last cage experience was, I figured with as many people as I had there, I thought like on into the fight, especially if I was doing good, I thought I would get the peak chant. But man, I mean, you guys heard it before first bell even rang. I had a
Yeah.
pretty good peak chant going
Yeah.
on in there, and I remember sitting there like, or standing there, and I was just like, man, like this is what you dreamed about, man, hearing that Peek chant in this building. And it was just, man, I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. That's one of the coolest experiences I've ever had, and I probably will ever have in my life, was hearing that Peek chant for the first time in the UFC arena, man. It's just, like I said, dream come true, man. Just a dream come true.
Dude, that was so cool to see. And another question we had to follow up with that was like, how did it feel for Bruce Buffer to give you his intro card? Like, he doesn't do that to like anyone, and he did that for you. So like, how did that feel?
Man, emotional. You know, I was emotional over it, man, just because like there's so much behind the scenes stuff that I've been through with it, like just with life and everything, and had some like, you know, issues with family and everything come up right before that fight. So I mean, it was just whenever he did that, and you know, the things he told me, and you know, he's seen thousands of fights, you know, like so many fights, and he's called so many fights. And you know, when he told me that night, he was like, how that he saw something special in my eyes and everything, man. And it just give me a warm feeling, man. It really just, I don't know, man. It made up for a lot of the bad stuff that I've been through with just life. It is such a cool thing for me. I mean, I'm literally looking at it right now. He wrote on the back of it, he wrote, big cheers plus no fears forever. And then he signed Bruce Buffer. Yeah, man. I've got that thing. I got that puppy framed up on my wall, man. It's super cool, man.
That's crazy, man.
So we're running a bit low on time, so I just want to do a rapid fire 3 quick questions. First one is, do you have a favorite TV show?
Not really, man. I mean, I just don't watch TV a whole lot. I'll get into like the Ultimate Fighter and stuff, or every once in a while, you know, a little series will come on or something, and I might get onto it. But I just don't really have much time to watch TV, really.
All right. Other than training, do you have a favorite hobby?
Man, I love the woods. I like hunting. I like fishing. You know, spending time with friends and stuff like that. I like going, and I like going over to my buddy's house and watching fights. And I'm just an outdoorsman, man, or anything really to get my old heart thumping. I'm an adrenaline junkie, man. I mean, I'm a bad adrenaline junkie. I love jumping off stuff, just anything to get my heart fluttering, man. I'm just looking for a thrill.
And last question, do you have an answer on when we can expect to see you back in the octagon again?
Man, it's looking probably like October-ish, I think. You know, that was one thing that hurt real bad too about this most recent loss, because the idea of it was, you know, if I got the win, I come out healthy and everything, you know, they're gonna be in Nashville August 5th, and man, I know it hurts, man, because that's my dream fight venue. Atlana'd be cool too, don't get me wrong. That's still very close to my home. I mean, I had a probably 200 plus, you know, drive 7 hours plus. So, I mean, you know, Atlanta or Nashville's only 2 or 3 hours away from most of my fan base. So I can't imagine how many people would be there. So, but let's not think about it too much as far as the Nashville stuff goes, man. They'll come back to Bridgestone one of these days. And, you know, hopefully by then I'll have a big enough case for myself to either co-main or main event it by then. But probably as far as the next one goes though, man, probably about October-ish, unless they want me on a little sooner. I'm fine with going sooner, man. If they called and wanted me to come on in August, I'd be like, all right, man. All right. Yep.
That's all the time we have for now. Trevor Peek, thank you so much for joining us for an episode on our podcast. We wish you the best, and we wish you the best in your next fight. Please take care of your mental health and look out for others like you usually do. Thank you so much.
Hey, God bless you guys. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you all. And we'll get on again one of these days.
Oh, absolutely. We gotta have you on for one of our episodes, man.
Oh, heck yeah, man. Heck yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, man.
See you guys. Y'all have a great night.
Thanks, Trevor. Have a good one, man.
You can't break me, I got iron bones. My ground game will leave your mind blown. I'm ready to fight in any time zone. I'm the greatest, you can call me John Jones. Knocking clowns out like I'm Steve Pay. We can even fight on the freeway. I'ma leave him bloody right where he lay. This is the Fighters Replay.